Many thanks for staying with us and welcome back. Well, despite the gloomy economic outlook, the federal government says some parts of the economy have actually recorded some growth, such as the agricultural sector and the solid minerals sector. And one thing the federal government is stressing is that the recession is going to be short-lived, assuring Nigerians that the challenges faced in the first half either no longer exist or have begun to ease. While another person who's been speaking on the economic hardships in the country is the governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole. He says Nigeria has to change its consumption. Nigerians have to change their consumption pattern if there's any hope of getting out of this difficult times.
There has to be a time lag between when you formulate policies on the basis of what you find on ground and when the benefits of those policies begin to manifest. I mean, if it takes 60 years to get to this terrible state we are in, why will anybody think that under 15 months of a new government, you will fix it? No, I've never had that illusion. What are the issues in the system? That we got ourselves to a situation where everybody was contributing to rural poverty, and we found ourselves in a very dangerous vicious cycle. A nation whose consumption pattern has been so distorted by the few who have access to stolen money, such that everywhere you go in the country, you have imported tomato puree, you have toothpick, you have all sort of thing, expired rice from all over the world. And this government said, no, we won't continue this way. Nigerians, we have to go through reorientation. But you don't learn to perfect consuming what you don't produce, particularly those things that you can actually produce. If we are going to move away from a nation that has perfected the act of consuming precisely what it doesn't produce, but which is capable of producing, and we want our rural economy to improve, you've got to have to allow this price incentive to redirect investors properly to the agricultural sector. The whole essence of moving away state involvement in the economy more towards private sector driven economy is that the private sector should also aim at structuring their production pattern in a way that over time they do not need to import all of the things they currently import. If you go through the list of what they think, what they classify as raw materials, a lot of these raw materials are things that can be produced at home.
Well, Governor of Edo State, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole. Let's now get some more perspective on this matter. A former presidential aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Mr. Akin Osuntokun, joins us now via telephone. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Akin, the NBS figures are out now, and obviously Nigeria is officially in recession. The GDP has dropped minus 2.06%. What do you make of this economic times that we are in now?
Well, you know, you have to characterize the economic crisis very well. It's a mixture of man-made and natural disasters. There is an aspect of which that there is maybe nothing the government can do. I mean, the government does not fix the price of oil. So a crash, which of course is a reflection of a weakness in the Nigerian economy in the first place, that it is monocultural and dependent on a commodity. So to that extent, there is nothing, it's inevitable that we are going to go through this kind of hardship. The part of it that is, I think, is man-made is that, look, in spite of the stability of the transition from one government to another, we seem not to have made the best of the situation. We have a situation in which it seems as if the inheritor of the government at the federal level, the APC, seem not to be prepared for the task of governance. There was the period between the presidential election, and the sworn in. Look, when the election ended in March, there was a window of 2 months within which, you know, some basic elements of governance and economic policies should have started. But this was not the case. Now, things are snowballing, and it seems as if we are in a situation in which political and economic crises are now feeding off one another. We have the situation in Niger Delta. We have the increasing agitation in the south about restructuring. And so the price, the crude oil price at the international level seems not to be appreciating. And then, of course, the production is being severely curtailed at the Niger Delta oil fields. So, we now have a situation in what we call the perfect storm, in which both crises are now feeding off one another. The problem, the way out is to find a way of stabilizing first the country itself, politically, and then to create a conducive atmosphere, for people who want to invest. Last time I saw somebody, they said that one of the things that investors are reacting, they are scared about Nigeria, is the increasing political uncertainty. So that problem has to be addressed. And of course, one aspect you also have to look at is what they call, the fundamentals of the economy.
Okay, let me ask you, Mr. Akin, just a moment. Let me ask you. In other words, do you have confidence that the APC government is able to take Nigeria out of this recession?
Look, I'm not talking as a partisan or politician, so I don't want to zero it down to whether I'm talking about the APC government. I'm just talking about
with all what is on ground now and the way things have played out with the policies that have been made by the president. Do you see the government of the day being able to take Nigeria out of this recession?
Well, so far they have not demonstrated that level of competence, and there is no basis for that expectation, given what has happened in this country in the past 1 year. But let me tell you something. There is something beyond even the politics or partisanship of today, and that is what is called the fundamentals of an economy. Look, Nigerians, we have to look at the structure of the country itself, whether it conduces to economic development. Look, there is something that is called the economies of state. The moment the Nigerian states have become unable to pay staff salaries, those states have lost the reason for existence. Look, when we were in secondary school, the economies of scale says that, look, the larger your unit of operation, you reduce the cost of production or cost of governance. Let me give you an instance of the Southwest. In the 6 Southwest today, the 6 states in the Southwest, if they are consolidated into one government, you are going to reduce the cost of running government by about 80% or 90%. That in itself says some. So the signal, we are the country itself, and internationally we are not sending any signal as having a serious, approach to developing the country. I mean, beyond the theatrics and all these things of the moment.
Okay, one thing, you talked about separating party from governance, but one thing this government has always insisted on is putting blames on the on the PDP government. The government says the PDP started this. So what then has been done wrong by the government now not to consolidate on the mistakes that were made before to cause change now?
That's a reflection of seriousness. Now, I'm sure all over the place now you are asking, people are telling them that, look, there has to be a limit to which you can be blaming the past government for all your problems, for all your difficulties. I said earlier on that there are a number of them that are man-made. I mean, nobody, what is the management, what is the fiscal and monetary policy of this government since he took over governance? And how much have those policies addressed the situation very well? There is a sense in which you can hold them responsible for the situation in which the Naira, the fiscal policy of this country, is in today.
All right, just a moment. Just a moment, Mr. Akin. Please hold that thought. We'll have to cut you now and take a moment. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us.